So welcome to the first of our Outfitter Tales short. So this is just a short clip in between the two full length episodes, and what we said from the off, we've done 4 OTs now, is that we really wanted feedback, we wanted comment, positive and negative, and then we would try and incorporate that into future shows. So one of the things several people have asked us, but James in particular has been making a few suggestions about what he would like to see. And this question was concerning DSC level 1. Well, I've been running DSC level 1s at Garryloop now for about probably close on 20 years, and we do it slightly differently. And James is coming to us from a perspective of doing a little bit of stalking, so reasonably experienced, but he didn't really want to spend the time going on one of the 3.5 day full-blown DMQ courses, which by the way are excellent, and I've got no criticism of those, but not everybody can afford the time to do that. So some people kind of prefer to take an option of self-study and then an assessment. So I've been running it that way through BDS and latterly BASC for, like I said, a lot of years now, and it works extremely well. So effectively this system allows you to self-study, and then we will put an assessment on. We generally do about 6 a year, 6 to 8 a year, and we'll run an assessment here, and we're up on the range at Garryloop, effectively over a day. You've got an option to come and do some range training the day before if you're a bit unfamiliar with rifles, but the 2 options you've got with us is you can come for a half-day revision session, and at this time of year we'll generally start about 8:30 in the morning, which is basically, Rabs runs those now. We'll put some flesh on the bones of your self-study, we'll answer any questions you've got, so basically it's your opportunity to come along, expand on the knowledge that you've got, question us on elements of the self-study and how the assessment itself will run, and any areas that you're unsure about. Generally takes about 4 hours, so then we have a brief pause for lunch, and then we'll come up and do the assessment. So we'll show you kind of the range element in a minute, but effectively there are 5 elements to the Deer Stalking Certificate level 1. It did change, I think it was April 21, where the range assessment changed and 1 or 2 other bits of the assessment, but basically there are 2 written papers. You've got a multi-choice paper of 50 questions, which is a general paper, kind of all-encompassing. You've got a large game handling paper, which is a bank of 40 questions, and then you've got a visual assessment. So if you like, that's the kind of inside element of the assessment. And the pass mark is 80%, so there is quite a margin of error. So for example, in a 50 question general paper, you only need to get 40 correct. And one thing I will stress is there are no tricks in this. There's no hidden, nobody's trying to catch anybody out. Remember, all the people, the assessors, the AWs that are assisting with the assessment, we've all had to go through it, we've all had to take it, and none of us are in the game of trying to trick you up. It's an honest assessment, and to be fair, I think it's very, very good. And we have a number of people come from Europe and actually outside Europe to come and take the assessment. So it's recognised actually worldwide. So that is the inside bit of the assessment, and then the practical element of the assessment is a range test. Rab's going to cover that briefly with you shortly, which is the target to my right, and a safety assessment, and we'll cover that and we'll actually show you, for example, there's deer silhouettes. So the assessment is the entry level to deer stalking, if you like. It's trying to demonstrate that you have a good understanding and a good knowledge of all aspects relating to anything to do with deer, anything to do with deer legal firearms, the law, ecology, etc. So I know a lot of people are often wary about taking it, and I've had this conversation with an awful lot of people over the last 20 years, from experienced to complete novices, and every single person that's been and taken the assessment has thoroughly enjoyed the experience. And I've got to say the vast majority of them come on and go on to do to take the level 2. One of the differences, one of the changes that the DMQ made to the assessment was that prior to the, I think I said it was, I'm sure it was April 21, the DSC 1 level, DSC level 1 actually included a large game handling element. So you were qualified, if you like, to handle large game, put deer into a deer larder, sign the tags and all the rest of it. Post the changes, and I'm not sure exactly on the date when that came in, but it's certainly been in a while now, is you don't get that anymore. The level 1 gives you, basically demonstrates that you have an understanding of the legal aspects and the law relating to carcass handling. but it doesn't actually give you the practical element. So in order to fully obtain large game handling status, trained hunter status, basically you need to take your level 2. So level 2 is practical based. So obviously on the level 2 you're actually physically demonstrating on a carcass, basically putting into practice effectively with an assessor who's watching you, that you understand. And effectively what we're trying to do is prevent any contaminated carcass getting into the food chain. So you know the law around it, what you need to do, the inspection, the examination, and what you need to do to comply with that. And we will cover that in another programme following along from this, because that's something else that we've been asked to do. So basically, in a nutshell, that's how we run level 1. Self-study, come along and take the assessment. You don't have to attend the revision session. By the way, we've got guys coming on our next one who was just going to come, and a lady I think, who's just going to come along and do the assessment, so they're fully prepared for it. So you've got the 2 options to do that. And if you're really genuinely concerned and feel that you're a little bit not quite ready for doing that revision and the assessment off your own back, we will tag on a half a day or a pre-preparation course, and we'll give you a little bit of background. It's quite nice for novices to get them out in the field so they've stalked first, because that really does allow you to put into perspective some of the things that you're going to cover with Rab when you're doing the training. So what I'm going to do now is hand over to Rab. He's just going to talk you through the range test, because there are some quite significant changes to that, and there's an element of this range test that does trip people up if they've not practiced it. So we'll cover that with you just so that you know what to expect when you come.
Hi guys, what I'm going to take you through now is the deer silhouette as part of the DSC1 assessment. So this is the shooting test for the DSC1 assessment. Deer silhouette. On the deer silhouette itself you have a 50mm ring here, and you have a 100mm ring on the outside here. Basically this is your kill shot, and this is your dispatching shot. So the actual test itself is conducted in basically 3 ranges, so 100 metres, 70 metres and anywhere between 20 and 10 metres. Prior to taking shots on the actual target itself, you're allowed 2 check 0 rounds prior to actually physically hitting the target itself. So I would advise you do that anyway, just to make sure you never know whether you've knocked it or not. So 100 metres, prone position, using either a bipod, rucksack, or also you can use as an improvised high seat. So basically the 100 metres is from a stable platform. Technically you could use a bench as well, but by the letter of the law you should be using equipment that you're going to be taking stalking. So, but as an improvised high seat, this is fine. 100 metres, 2 rounds into the kill area of the target here. We then move forward to the 70-metre point. These 2 shots are taken from a standing, sitting or kneeling position. Again, using equipment that you would normally take stalking with you. Most guys tend to do the standing off the sticks, but there is a few who do the sitting and kneeling. Again, utilising the sticks that they normally carry with them. Again, into the kill zone here. Then we move forward to the between 20 and 10 metres, and this is to simulate a dispatching shot. And this is where this circle here comes into play. So basically, between 10 and 20 metres, standing, I would suggest you use your sticks, as most people do. You just use your sticks. Yeah, then less room for error. 2 rounds into here. This is the one that most people get wrong or fail on. If you aim at the centre of the circle here, your rounds will fall here because of this difference between your barrel and scope height. You need to be, as a general rule, you need to be aiming directly between the 2 ears on the outline of the silhouette. Then that way your rounds will drop down into the circle here. If you do, so basically a failure is if any of the rounds, the 6 rounds, fall anywhere outside the circle. If your rounds are touching the circle, it's in. If it breaks the line of the circle, its class is in. Any rounds outside, you have to do a reset of the whole shoot again. Yeah, so you can't just do your 200 metres, or you can't do your 270, 2 act 70, you have to do the whole shoot again, and you get one retest within a 24-hour period. So you can immediately do it straight away after you've failed.
Just to qualify what Rab was saying, every one of those shots is in, and that one, because it's breaking the line, is classed as a score, and that is the line.
Yeah, but just be aware, guys, from the 100 metres, again, all depends on the light, the sun, you will not, or may not see the circle. So this is where a lot of the skill comes in. You need to be able to aim at the kill zones. Personally, I take a line from the back of the leg, straight up the carcass, straight up the silhouette, and halfway up the body. Is that where the heart is? No. But this has been classed by DMQ as a prime zone for sort of an ethical kill, heart and lung shot. So you'll be taking the top of the heart out here.
Yeah, I think that's kind of bringing in the military that we were both taught is centre of body mass. So it's basically the biggest margin of error.
Yeah. But obviously, you've got a small circle here to get inside, and you can, as I say, you can't see it, so you have to know your point of aim, which is where the practice comes in. We get plenty of people come on, well, not plenty, but we've had some people actually come on the DSC1 course before, attempted the shooting and never actually fired a centre fire before. Suffice to say,
probably worth having a bit of a practice.
Yeah, suffice to say they didn't do too well. But no, this is where most people struggle. Even experienced stalkers, because of the test conditions, nerves get the best of you, some people, and they start snatching shots and pulling the trigger and stuff. So calm, nice, easy, but practice, practice, practice.
Yeah, that's very true. So, what I'm stood next to is something that looks remarkably like a roe deer, and that's intentional. So, we've covered the first, if you like, practical element, which is the range assessment and the target that you will shoot at. The second practical element is a safety assessment. Now, I think the thing to say about all of the questions on the DSC level 1 is that there are no surprises. There is a bank of questions in the training manual, and you can obtain training manual from any of the providers. The two big ones obviously are Basque and BDS, so you just contact them and they'll send you the current latest training edition. And at the back of that manual is a bank of questions, so any question that you could get asked on this assessment you are aware of, because there's a bank of questions that the questions are selected from. It's not a random selection of questions. And by that I mean it's not just a computer generated thing, because if that was the case you might get 6 or 7 questions on one particular small area of the assessment, and that won't happen. So the questions are balanced and they're spread. So if you're weak in one particular area, you may only get 1 question on that. You certainly won't get more than 2, and it's unlikely that you'll get 2. And bear in mind you've got a 20% error rate. So the banks of questions are there. In terms of the safety, I mean the range, you know what it is because we've just explained it, so that you know exactly what's going to happen there. And with the safety assessment, there's a bank of questions which are all listed in the back of the training manual. I believe there's 24, a potential bank of 24 I think, as a random selection of 10 of those. So you've only got to read them and then you know what you're going to get asked. And it's not a verbatim answer, it's a safety assessment, so they're just checking on safety. The reason I'm stood in front of this target is one of the, always within that bank of 10 questions will be 4 deer silhouettes positioned in different locations on the way up to the range normally, and that's, if you like, a simulated stalk. Now remember, you're being assessed on safety from the moment that you drive through the gate of the assessment centre, so weapon handling is crucial, and I shouldn't even have to tell you that, but you are being assessed. So remember, weapons handling, priorities and protocols you must adhere to.
And that's also included on the range?
Every single element of this assessment, and some people do forget that, and you know, you're a long time dead, so I shouldn't even have to say that. So basically there will be, these deer silhouettes will be positioned around the simulated stalk, and you will be asked whether it's a safe or if it's an unsafe shot. No tricks, it's either safe or it isn't. If you haven't got a backstop, you know, with a clear line of sight, nothing else around it, then it's not safe. Simple. So it's not difficult. example of another question you might get is getting in and out of a high seat. It's not a difficult question. How do you get in and out of a high seat? You do a correct and proper unload at the base of the high seat. You check the high seat for signs of tampering. Nobody's messed around with it. You're very careful how you ascend the ladder. You have 3 points of contact all the time with an unloaded rifle. You settle yourself in the high seat and then you do a safe load. And then you reverse the process to get out of it. Not a trick, nothing difficult. That's what we want you to do. So you shouldn't have any problem if you've practiced the range. You shouldn't have any problem with the range. And if you've practiced read the safety assessment questions, you really shouldn't have any problems with those. And to be fair, if you've done your revision, and I would strongly suggest using one of the online methods as well as the training manual. So get hold of the training manual because there's an awful lot of background. I mean, it's a great big thick book. I mean, it's a bit daunting at first, but bear in mind that covers a whole spectrum of deer stalking, not just questions to get you through a level 1. It's that's the second time in filming Rab, his phone's gone off.
Can I phone you back, mate, we're filming?
Don't tell me it's Dave Smith again.
No.
Right, so where we go again. Note to Rab for the second time in 2 weeks, he's turned the effing phone off when we're filming.
Anyway, an important man, I'm on standby.
So, there are no tricks in this assessment. It's an honest assessment. If for any reason that you fail one module or any part of the assessment, and there are 5 modules, I've already said you've got your written paper, which is your large game handling, your visual, your range and your safety. If you fail any one of those elements, then you can retake that element. As Rabs also said, you can have a second go at the range test on the same day, but that's the maximum number of times you can have a go at it. The rest of them you need to rebook with another assessment centre. You can come back to the original assessment centre, you can go anywhere within the country on a DMQ, but you must do it within 3 years. So what you will get effectively from the assessor and the assessment centre is what's called a referral sheet, and signed off on that will be all the elements that you've passed, and if you've failed an element it will be left blank. So you need to book in for the revised level 1. You only need to take that element or any element that you've not passed, retake them. Provided you pass them, then your certificate will come through in the post. Usually takes about 4 to 5 weeks. You can have as many goes as you want. You can keep going at it, and you don't have to pay full price. Depending on how many modules you take, depends on how much you have to pay. So basically, that is the DSC level 1. You can either go to one of the big organisations or the providers that do the full training. So really effectively you can go green if you like, cold, although I'd still advocate some self-study before you go. Or, I'm not sure of anybody else doing it like us actually, but anyway, they probably are. But the way we do it is self-study, come here, various options for revision, and then we'll put you through the assessment. But the one thing I will say, depending on who you go with, who you decide to go to, if you're thinking about it, do it. At the moment, it's not compulsory to have DSC level 1 to go stalking, but it's increasingly becoming a prerequisite, because I can't think of any commercial land where you'll not get on any commercial stalking without a minimum of DSC level 1. Most private landowners now are cottoning on to the fact for insurance purposes they want people to be level 1 qualified, and I can only think of 1 or 2 pieces of land that I have access to that we could potentially put syndicate rifles on it, who theoretically could go on without a level 1, but it's just not happening. So you need your level 1. So unless you're one of those lucky people who some farmers said, okay, look, crack on, you can shoot on here, we don't want anything, just whack away. The moment that you lose that for whatever reason and then you start shopping around, then I think you find you're going to need a level 1.
So a lot of the time it's going to be a condition of the risk assessment.
Yeah,
a proven, qualified personnel.
It's definitely. I can't think of many, apart from private landowners, farmer maybe, and even they're cutting on, really, there's not many of them now you're going to get on without level 1. To be honest, it's a good assessment. It's worth doing, and it opens the door to move on to level 2. Level 2, I think most people take because they want to do rather than they have to do, and again, I think Rob will back me up when we do lots and lots of level 2 training, and everybody that comes, I would say 85% of the people that come, it's not vocational based, it's because they want to do it, and 100% of them enjoy doing it.
Yep, definitely. And they always learn something. It's the same as myself, obviously paying for guided stalks. I still pay for guided stalks because nobody knows everything. You can always pick up little tips from other people.
That's why it comes out with me all the time. Cut!
Nope. I never get with Chris.
So as I've said, that's really, we'll try and, on these shorts, if we've got questions that we can cover fairly quickly, we'll maybe try and put those into a short in between episode. I think that might work quite well, but again, you need to give us some feedback whether that's working or not. We want negatives as well, by the way. I know it's very hard to find any.
We don't want negatives.
Well, we don't want them, no. And
the negatives are also just as productive as positives.
But they'll struggle to find a negative, won't they, really? I think.
Don't challenge them.
Okay, all right, fine. No, forget I said that. We're set up at my summer house, actually, at the top of the... it's not a good place to stand when they're shooting, because the range is there, but we've got a little summer house up here. Summer palace, we call it. Lots of the guys come and stay up here, actually. You can sit and watch Reds and Roe just out the back of the... back of the palace here. Rob, I just noticed actually that the range grass is a bit long. I think it's your turn, isn't it?
Yeah, we all know what happened the last time you did it, don't we?
I did a great job though. It was super.
You did a great job, or you got paid somebody in to do it?
Well, it doesn't really matter, does it? But it was just a good job, I think, but it was quite warm on that. I got a bit of a sweat on while it was happening.
Oh, we'll add that to my list of jobs for this week.
Yeah, okay.
What have you been up to this week?
Well, actually, we've had a bit of an issue with stags. A friend of mine's got quite a lot of land around here, and barley crop. We drilled the barley crops late because it was really wet, and so we had a bit of an issue with red deer coming in, and there was one particular crop, one particular field with sort of 8 big red stags in. So that's been attracting a bit my attention. Didn't really want to shoot any this early in the season, to be honest, and I know we don't have seasons in Scotland, but we'll cover that on another episode. We still stick to seasons. Big majestic red stags in prime condition are really not really interested in shooting at all if I can get away with it, and certainly not this early in the season. However, when you've got 8 of them in a barley field overnight for 2 or 3 consecutive nights, just bunching the ears off, then we need to do something about it. So
and the farmer gets upset.
He gets very upset, yeah. It lets me manage the deer really with a free hand, but yeah, one of them had to go. By doing that, hopefully put the others off. So that's what I've been doing. You?
Yeah, on the red deer frame, obviously I was out this morning doing some recce for guests, making sure there's bucks and stuff around, but again, 5 big reds there, yeah. Still in velvet. What else I've been doing? Infrastructure checks. So I've been going around all the infrastructure and all the leases and stuff I've got, basically photographing, checking for serviceability, documenting, and basically just making sure they've all got all the relevant health and safety signs and stuff on them, no climbing and etc. And obviously taking guests out, because I take guests out, somebody else doesn't.
Oh really?
Well, occasionally.
I did one in January, I think.
And a bit of foxing.
Yeah, that's good you said that. I mean, we're not going to ramble on too much because this is a short and you're probably bored of listening to us after the last one anyway. But next week, what we're going to try and bring you is we're doing some infrastructure checks. Rab's just been talking about. We've got one site we look after. We can only really get on one area on a Sunday because it's a working wind farm. So we went up there to have a look around, not really with intention to shoot anything. A couple of things we were looking at, because this was about 10 days ago. We were looking to see if the rut had sort of any sign of the rut kicking off. We wanted to check on the red deer. We wanted to look at infrastructure. We got an area earmarked for a potential new seat, and we just generally wanted to have a look around, because contrary to popular belief, we're not stalking gurus. We can't just conjure deer up, but we can usually find them. But we can usually find them because we spend a lot of time watching them and watching where they're going to be.
It's usually the cameraman that finds them first though.
Yeah, he says that. I've got little areas where I don't let him go that's full of deer. So that's what we're going to bring you next week. And hopefully, one of the other things we've been asked to do is on OT4 was a bit of foxing. So Steve's up this weekend, and he does know how to use a camera. I'll send him more about that. And he's probably going to try and get a bit of foxing activity with this guy here who thinks he knows a bit about foxing.
Well, who's the one that gets someone? Who do you call to come and sort your foxes out for you?
Call Rab the Foxman. That's because I don't like being up late at night.
He's in bed for 7 o'clock.
Don't like being up. Like being up early, but not late.
And also on the show, obviously, at the end of this segment, we're going to introduce some puppies as well, aren't we?
Ah,
We forgot
yes.
about that, didn't we?
Yeah, puppies. You've had some puppies. Well, he's not had some puppies, but the dog's had some puppies, so we'll show you them, or he will. And
Don't forget about
the news.
the
Boots.
competition. Yeah, so just a reminder from last week's episode, don't forget to subscribe to the Brandecosse newsletter, comment below, in the comments below, tag a friend, and then say enter yourself for that competition for those Brandecosse boots.
Great prize, and that'll run for a couple of weeks yet, so but you need to be getting on with it. So that we've droned on enough because this is a short.
Yeah, I bet it's not short though.
No. Thanks for watching, as always. So it's good night from me.
And it's good night from him.
And remember, watch this space.
Cheers, guys. So we have Buck on the left and Willow on the right. And now it begins. All the fun.